Hey everybody, what's going on? DC Luke back again with another edition of the HN Cut. With The Last Jedi premiering this week, we figured that it would be only appropriate if we decided to take a look back at the previous entry in the series, Star Wars Episode VII, The Force Awakens, to kind of give our perspective on things and how we would have approached this next installment to the franchise. So, without really wasting any time, this is Star Wars The Force Awakens, the HN Cut. The film starts out generally how it normally does, only there's some new context for the events of it. The First Order are causing trouble for the Republic, though they aren't nearly as troublesome as they would be in the original film. The First Order are formed out of feelings of resentment for the way the Republic is running the galaxy, both inside and outside of its infrastructure. Several political figures and fanatics feel that the Republic is leading the galaxy into turmoil, and that it needs a stronger, more militaristic might to govern the Starways. Because of this, the First Order are a lot smaller in scale. They're worrisome, but they're a lot more manageable in the Republic's eyes as nothing more than a small terrorist faction. One that has sadly enlisted the son of Princess Leia, Ben Solo, now going by the name of Kylo Ren, after foregoing the training of his uncle Luke Skywalker. Kylo had been seduced by Supreme Leader Snoke, telling Kylo of the power and the order his grandfather, Darth Vader, had instilled amidst the galaxy, promising the young boy that he can repair the Skywalker name and continue his legacy, but only by tearing down the sins of his parents. The film starts off a little bit differently, with stormtroopers preparing to disembark from their transports, but with a different destination: Starkiller Base. The Republic had built the massive weapon as reassurance to protect their place in the galaxy, and as a means to battle against any insurrecting forces that could rival the Empire. In a surprise assault, the First Order managed to take the planetary weapon for themselves, with Supreme Leader Snoke placing General Hux in charge of the superweapon, while Kylo provides military support and training of new recruits with the help of Captain Phasma. Hux begins to resent how closely tied Kylo is to the Supreme Leader, terrified of how deeply entwined the battle between the Force could play in the First Order's future plans and governance of the galaxy, hoping to use his position to rise through the ranks of the organization to ensure proper legislation and governance. Among the ranks of soldiers that attacked and raided the Starkiller base is one particular one, FN 2187, one who, just like the rest, enlisted out of anger for the Republic's attitude and governance, believing in the First Order's ideals of providing a much more stable system. After the attack and learning of the First Order's plans to use the Starkiller base against Republic strongholds and military installations, destroying full planets for their allegiance with the Republic, he begins to question whether they are in fact doing the right thing. Meanwhile, the Republic panics at the prospect that their last resort weapon is now in the hands of righteous fanatics, directing all resources to try and reclaim the superweapon. The Republic is optimistic that they can reclaim order, but Luke Skywalker seems unsure. He can sense a powerful disturbance in the Force, the very one that stole Kylo away from him, and becomes very worried at its connection with the First Order. Luke believes that they'll need to build their defenses and prepare for the First Order's rise in power, with many of the Council chairs rebuking him, all except for his sister, Leia. Luke confides in his sister that he can feel another presence in the Force, one that can be used against Snoke and can stop the First Order from gaining supremacy in the galaxy. He just has to find her. Leia manages to persuade her husband, Han Solo, and his partner Chewbacca to come out of retirement and help Luke find this new Force wielder, before the First Order does, as no doubt Snoke knows of their presence as well. Luke points his friend to the planet Jakku, where he senses the power at its greatest, though he can't give him much more to go off of, much to Han's annoyance. Meanwhile, a Republic fleet is dispatched to take back the Starkiller base, with Poe Dameron as one of their premier pilots leading the charge, working to drop off ground troops to infiltrate the base. Unfortunately, the First Order is prepared for such an attack, retaliating and putting up a much greater fight than the Republic thought possible. FN 2187 is one of the many stormtroopers repelling the attack, but its perspective has changed drastically since the initial taking of Starkiller, the trooper eventually running away from the fight and deciding he needs to escape. Phasma sees this act of desertion, following FN to hold him for treason before she is attacked and driven away by rebel forces, among them Poe Dameron waiting back in the docking bay. FN finds his way here, with Poe holding him at gunpoint before the former First Order trooper tells him he wants to defect, offering information about the First Order's next targets for obliteration. Poe relents to taking him along, not that he has much of a choice, as stormtroopers flood into the docking bay, pushing back full force against the Republic's landing party and attempting to take out the pilots dropping them off. Poe and Finn manage to escape, but when Phasma tells Hux about FN's defection, the general panics that he could provide the rebels with valuable information. He orders Poe's ship shot down, and the two crash land on the surface of Jakku. Phasma following closely after with a search party to make sure there's no survivors. Meanwhile, on the surface of the planet, we're introduced to Rey in her day-to-day life. A lone woman on the surface of the desert planet just trying to make ends meet through her scavenging. We watch as she looks to the stars from her small hut, desperate for some greater sense of purpose, an adventure to take her far away from her life on this ball of sand. We follow her into the next day where we see her come across a fellow scavenger chasing down a strange droid, BB-8, much as she does in the movie. The droid tells her that its pilot has crash-landed not too far from their destination, and that it had gone into town for help as they haven't woken up yet. Eager to satisfy her urge for adventure, Rey goes along with the droid, finding the wreckage of Poe and Finn's X-Wing. After coming to, Poe and Finn tell Rey that they have to leave the planet, as no doubt they're going to be pursued by First Order scouts. Rey offers to bring them into the marketplace to find a ship, on the condition that they bring her with them, bluffing that if they don't, she'll hand them over to the First Order for a nice profit. They reluctantly agree, planning to ditch her at the first chance they get. It's at this point that Poe and Finn bond, and the pilot names his new comrade Finn. Back in the marketplace, Han Solo and Chewbacca have landed on Jakku's surface, poking around and asking the locals if there were any active Force-sensitive individuals living on Jakku, hoping that either they were their target or they can help point the way to their target. Unfortunately, the market is invaded by First Order troops who begin to ransack the place looking for FN 2187. Han and Chewbacca attempt to make their escape, but they're held at gunpoint and questioned if they're harboring any Republic fighter pilots or a stormtrooper. Han tells them the truth, desperately trying to persuade them to move on before their leader, Phasma, recognizes him, right before he looks and sees Poe, Finn, and Rey attempting to hijack the Millennium Falcon. The troopers are distracted, giving Han and Chewie the chance to retaliate and escape, inciting a huge riot in all of the market to distract the First Order troops, making it to the Falcon before it can take off. The group escapes, with Poe telling Han that he has important information for Leia and the Republic about the First Order's plans of attack, persuading him to bring them back home before coming back to find the new Force user later. On the way, the group begins to bond, and Han even tries teaching Rey how to pilot the Millennium Falcon. Bad timing though, as they dodge another ambush by the First Order stationed on a nearby planet. Rey's Force-sensitive abilities kicking in as they make their escape, Han, amazed, realizes he's found the one Luke was talking about, and they all manage to make their way to Takodana, where they can refuel and send a message to the Republic telling them that they're on their way back. While they stop off, Finn confesses how terrified he is of the First Order's power, telling Poe he's considering fleeing and going into hiding, something Poe tries to snap him out of, telling him he's a lot braver than he thinks he is, and he can help stop the First Order from spreading terror through the galaxy. Rey, meanwhile, meets Maz Kanata, who senses power within her and gives her a speech similar to the one in the original movie. Rey wondering if she's gotten more than she bargained for with the talk of destiny and the Force being within her. Unfortunately, the First Order arrives, informing the planet to hand over FN 2187 and Poe Dameron, or that they will serve as an example to the entire galaxy of those who defy the First Order. The planet refuses, and a fight breaks out between the mercenaries and the First Order troops, with Finn having a confrontation with Captain Phasma. In the midst of the attack, Rey is captured by Kylo Ren, who can sense her power and is reminded of Snoke's warnings of another in the galaxy to rival his strength. Han, Chewbacca, and Poe manage to save Finn from Phasma, the captain leaving as the Starkiller base prepares to destroy the planet. With no time left, Han and the group escape along with as many denizens of Takodana as the First Order destroys the planet. News spreads to the Republic, who begin to doubt whether they can even stop the First Order at this point, with how they've managed to beat back their attempts to reclaim the superweapon. Han, Chewbacca, Poe, and Finn make it back to the homeworld of the Republic, telling them where the First Order is planning to strike next, and telling Luke that Kylo has taken Rey. Desperate to get her back and to stop any more destruction, the Republic prepares a frontal assault to meet the terrorists head-on. The Republic has finally realized that the galaxy can't be safe so long as the First Order holds the Starkiller, and since they haven't been able to take it back, they decide that there's no other choice but to destroy it. Due to modification to the original Death Star plans, the base can only be destroyed from the inside, by a special sequence deep within the center of the station. Poe, Finn, Han, and Chewbacca are among the group tasked with infiltrating the stronghold, while the Republic attempts to keep attention diverted to a full-scale assault, the greatest they've employed. Luke tasks Han with bringing Rey back, which Han agrees, while Leia asks her husband to bring their son back as well. As the assault is underway, Rey and Kylo have a conversation very similar to what they have in the movie. Kylo attempting to find out how much Rey knows and whether or not Luke has begun rebuilding the Jedi Order. Oblivious to this, Kylo leaves Rey to deal with the Republic, while Rey uses latent Force abilities to escape. She runs into Han and the group, joining them on their mission to destroy the Starkiller, while Finn gives her back the lightsaber she left behind on Takodana. Phasma catches them, with Poe and Finn staying behind to hold her off. Seeing that Rey has escaped, Phasma informs Kylo, who heads to their location. Rey pulls out her lightsaber, fighting Kylo to give Han and Chewbacca enough time to find and begin the self-destruct sequence of Starkiller Base. Rey manages to hold her own for a little bit, but she's soon beaten back by Kylo's superior training. Poe and Finn have similar trouble with Phasma, but they actually manage to hold her off until Republic forces arrive, drawing Phasma's attention away. Poe and Finn find Rey and get a lucky shot on Kylo, severely weakening him as the countdown for self-destruction begins. Kylo reluctantly lets Rey go, forced to find his father and prevent the base's destruction. Poe, Finn, and Rey make it back to the ship, Rey using her lightsaber to fight through the First Order soldiers, while Poe and Finn provide covering fire, saving any fellow Republic soldiers being held down by First Order troops. Kylo runs into Han on a bridge leading to the core of the base, Chewbacca keeping watch over Han from a distance. Sensing that he's probably not going to make it out of this alive, Han tells his friend to go on ahead, lying and saying he'll catch up with him, though Chewie somehow knows this is the last time he'll see his friend. Han and Kylo have a heart-to-heart, similar to how they do in the movie, though this is the first time we see Ben's face as he finally removes his mask. Han tries to reason with his son, and it seems like he's getting through before Kylo ultimately stabs him through with his lightsaber. His final act of defiance against the Republic and the light side, all the while shedding a silent tear at having to do the deed. Realizing his father had kept him busy for far too long, Kylo knows that there's no saving Starkiller, and is forced to escape along with his troops, reporting to Snoke of the loss and how the new Force wielder has joined with Luke Skywalker. The movie holds a bittersweet victory. The Republic has stopped the First Order's reign of terror, but this act has only placed it as a much higher threat within the galaxy, and a formidable opponent to the Republic. Many citizens, realizing this, are beginning to pick sides, with the First Order growing in power and support due to their actions. Leia, Luke, and Chewbacca mourn their lost comrade, but they still have work to do. Luke offers to train Rey in the use of the Force, to combat Kylo Ren and be a greater challenge to him and the dark side when the time comes. She accepts, the two traveling to a secluded island for training. Poe convinces Finn to stay with the Republic in the fight against the First Order, using his knowledge of First Order combat tactics as invaluable information for future counterattacks. Chewbacca joins Rey and Luke in their seclusion, opting to stay with the Millennium Falcon and look after the young Jedi, as well as looking for a chance to repay Kylo for the death of his friend. And that's a wrap. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any other ideas on what movies we should cover on this in the future, let us know in the comments down below. If you'd like to see more videos from us, go ahead and subscribe to stay up to date on all of our videos as they come out. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter if you haven't already, and if you'd like to show your support, maybe consider donating to our Patreon page, where every dollar you guys puts in goes towards creating higher quality content for you, the viewer. Thanks again, guys, and we'll catch you next time on the HN Cut.